Rolling down the street in my power wheelchair, I noticed even as a kid, I couldn't get into stores because of steps. As I got older, my parents couldn't bump me up the steps as easily as they used to. That's when I realized how much even 2 inches of concrete can make a difference to where I went in my community. When I got to Toronto, I thought it would be different and there would be ramps everywhere because it was the big city. When I realized is most of the people don't even know there is a barrier. Even newer buildings create the Victorian era steps that still keep me out. Whether the building was built in 1880 or 1980, you still find steps. I was so excited coming to the city and thought I'd be able to even access bars and clubs, but these places are some of the worst for accessibility. It's like they believe people in wheelchairs don't want a taste of the real nightlife. The biggest thing for me is there are all kinds of wonderful restaurants in my neighborhood, but only half of them are accessible. Even then, only a few actually intrigue my palate. So when all the blogs talk about all these wonderful cultural opportunities in downtown Toronto, the first question I always ask myself is it accessible? And sometimes I don't get a clear answer. The hardest thing for me is accessing Toronto's wonderful storefront art galleries, as half or more of them are not accessible. Because the art in the galleries is unique. It's not like you can find the same art duplicated down the street. So when my artist friends have shows, I can only go to some of them, and only if it's an accessible venue. Even when the topic of accessibility is brought up to these businesses, the number one reply when you mention that their place is inaccessible is usually, it's never been a concern for us because none of our customers are in wheelchairs. And that's because if you can't get in, we're not actually counted as customers. There is an easy solution when it comes to just one step: stopgap. They provide portable ramps that can be used to make your establishment more accessible. Stopgap is not a permanent solution, but at least it provides an option instead of zero accessibility. I don't have the answers for fixing these issues I mentioned here, but I do believe that if we work creatively, disabled and non-disabled alike, we can come together and make the community more accessible.